Hey everybody, Brendan here in front of the whiteboard. And in today's video, I'm going to be discussing the vagus nerve. That's right, you've clicked on this video because you saw something about the vagus nerve. And I'm going to talk about how the vagus nerve is so important to our digestive process. You've probably been hearing about the vagus nerve maybe in like meditation classes or breathwork classes. It's really starting to get a lot of traction amongst the health and wellness industry. However, in my opinion, I don't think people are really making a good connection and explaining just how important the vagus nerve is, where it is in our body, and some of the functions, as well as how we can sort of repair or re-stimulate a tired and exhausted vagus nerve. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Brendan. I'm also known as the Gut Whisperer, and I help adults lose weight, reduce inflammation, help with their joint pain. If they've got autoimmune conditions, I help better manage those. I help them with their GERD, their heartburn, their acid reflux, whether you've got constipation or diarrhea. Maybe you're even seeing undigested food particles in your poops. All of those are expressions of a leaky gut, and I help them recover from a leaky gut in my 6-week comprehensive leaky gut rehabilitation program. So again, with this video, I'm going to be talking about the vagus nerve, and I'm going to be talking about a little bit of the anatomy. I'm not going to go deep in the autonomic nervous system, but I'm just going to try to make things super simple for you to understand. Okay, so what is stimulating our nervous system? Well, we've got 4 different stimuli right here. We've got thought, sight, and in the case of digestion, the smell of food, and finally the taste of food. And so this is the pathway, and it's called the association pathway in the brain, right? Ingoing pathway. And so A right here, thought, so we've got thoughts going in our brain, thinking about food maybe in this case. And there's obviously the center medulla right there. Now, letter B, sight. So we've got this pathway going here through the eye, going back to the brain for processing and almost like reversing the image so we can see it, then into the medulla for stimulation. Then through the nose, we've got the smell of food, right? Scent goes in, gets processed, and there it is again in the medulla. And then finally, the taste of food going in through the mouth, stimuli, medulla, and then this stimulates the vagus nerve, which brings down all of these different signals down into the whole digestive process. So now that we understand the pathway of the ongoing stimuli going down, now we get to talk about the different types of reflexes, and there's 3 in this. There's the cephalic phase, there's the gastric phase, and then finally the intestinal phase. And so these are conditional and unconditional movements. Unconditional meaning that we were born with it, like we had the ability to have these reflexes, like our body is doing it automatically. And then conditional is when we learn them as a child and as we grow up. And so in this phase, we've got food going in our mouth, and the act of chewing, right, the saliva and all that stuff, that's stimulating our brain to then stimulate signals, which then stimulates our stomach and the whole digestive process to start to activate, the acidity, the digestive process with the pancreas and all that. So then there's the second phase when the food goes passed down into the esophagus, into the stomach, also known as chyme, and this is the gastric phase. Also, this is unconditional. What does that mean? Our body is doing it automatically. We don't need to consciously think of how to digest foods. So what happens is when we consume food, we chew, food's going down into the stomach. The stomach somewhat distends and gets larger because there's more volume in the stomach. And initially, the stomach is less acidic simply because it wasn't really prepared for the whole digestive process. But when we go back to these stimuli, thinking about, seeing about, smelling about, and tasting about the food, then our brain will start to signal and tell the rest of the digestive process to start secreting those digestive enzymes and acids and chemicals and so forth. So then, once we're going past down the gastric phase, once the food continues to get broken down further and further into the stomach, then it goes into another part of the reflex, which is the intestinal phase. And this is also unconditional. We don't need to be told, or we don't learn how to poop. We just naturally do it, right? And so this is a whole sort of feedback mechanism where these stimuli are going all the way from the brain down the vagus nerve and stimulating and telling the whole digestive process to start digesting, as well as absorbing nutrients, going into the liver, going into the heart, being distributed for the rest of the body systemically for nutrient absorption. And so now that we've established the ingoing pathway, now we've got the outgoing pathway. And that's what I was just saying. The outgoing pathway stimulates secretion of the chief parietal cells and mucus cells and the gastric motility. So that's what's happening in the stomach, right? So local, intrinsic, plexus, and vagus. So ensures continual gastric secretion motility. Now, interestingly enough, when there's no longer food sort of being observed or present, the vagus nerve also tells the digestive process to hold off, slow down. It doesn't need to be doing that anymore after a successful meal, for example. And this is why snacking is so bad. It is not a good idea to snack because it's kind of tricking the brain and the body and the whole digestive process. Okay, are we eating a full meal or are we not? And this, just by snacking alone, can somewhat exhaust this whole pathway and this vagus nerve. So I just wanted to share that because not a lot of people really understand the vagus nerve and where it goes along, right? So there it is at the center of the medulla, right in the back of the brain, in the back there, and it goes all the way, travels all the way down to our stomach, and it signals to our whole digestive process and back and forth. So when people say, and when I say that our neurotransmitters are largely produced in the gut, that's true. And a lot of those neurobrain chemicals, those neurotransmitters travel up along the vagus nerve into the brain for the brain to utilize all of those neurotransmitters, serotonin, dopamine, GABA, etc., etc. So maybe you've heard there's a lot of talk of stimulating or activating your vagus nerve. Is that true? Yes, absolutely. And here are 11 tips on how you can actually stimulate and activate your vagus nerve. Because a traditional lifestyle, people that are living from the SAD diet, the standard American diet, high stress, not enough activity, a sedentary lifestyle, all of those are actually really bad for our vagus nerve and for our brain and for being overstimulated or understimulated. So these are 11 tips how to stimulate your vagus nerve. Number 1, singing. Ah. Number 2, chanting. Hum. Number 3, cold water therapy, especially if you can go down and submerge yourself just past that little crown where your head is, where the little nook, that's where the beginning of the vagus nerve is. And if you can get that down, that's going to stimulate. It's basically going to send emergency signals because it's like your body's in panic mode. You can do the same thing with a cold shower. Make it hit the back of your head there. Sauna, right? High heat, high cold, high heat, that definitely helps stimulate your vagus nerve. Deep breathing. Hold. And out slow. Just by doing that, I already feel relaxed. Try it. I want you to try it. Take a big breath in. Hold. Out. Wow, I feel good. Okay, let's continue. Breath holds, so that's what we just did. Big exhales, so like big sighs. Just by doing that, it actually stimulates your vagus nerve. And I guarantee you, you might look funny, but who cares? You're gonna feel amazing. Look at the smile on my face. I feel good. Yelling. This can be an awesome, awesome exercise. When was the last time you just yelled at the top of your lungs? This can be done in like a meditative practice, outside, doing some yoga. Just let out a "Rah!" and you're gonna feel good. You're releasing a lot of energy, a lot of built up energy. Meditation, as I just said. Exercise. Exercise is very, very important, right? And then finally, eating very slowly. Because when you're eating slowly, all of these stimuli are having a chance to actually go into the brain, get processed, travel along through the brain, through this vagus nerve, and then activate that whole digestive process. And if you're eating in a hurry, if you're drinking excessively during your meals, if you're drinking coffee, or if you're consuming stimulants with your meals, if you're eating in a rush, or if you're eating in the takeaway, right, in the drive-through, all of those things are basically rushing this whole process, and the brain is not able to have the time to actually acknowledge and process that you're consuming food, or food is in your presence. As a result, the whole digestive process is going to be compromised. It's not going to be able to secrete enough stomach acid. The pancreas is not going to be able to release all of those digestive enzymes. As a result, you're going to have large macro food molecules basically invading into your systemic bloodstream through the leaky gut, causing an immune response, causing excess inflammation, causing your skin to flare up, or brain fog, or forgetfulness. You name it. All of those things are from a compromised digestive process, as well as a fatigued or overworked or understimulated vagus nerve. So I hope you found this valuable. If you liked it, hit a like, hit a subscribe, leave a comment below. And also, if you're interested in working with me, I have created a 6-week gut rehabilitation program where I will literally hold your hand every step of the way. And I'm going to teach you this type of information, along with much, much more, how to completely reset and rehabilitate your gut. I guarantee you in 6 weeks, you will be living a whole new lifestyle. So click the link below, register for that free training, and I'll see you on that webinar. Gut Whisperer out.